Our 44th winner is one of my favorites of the 70s, Jane Fonda. She won for her role as Bree in Clute. Clute follows Bree Daniels, a successful call girl who gets wrapped up in the disappearance of one of her clients. But a private detective showing up at Bree's door turns out to be beneficial for her when she learns that she's being stalked by an increasingly scary man. Now this is what I was expecting as a big splash into the 70s. Jane Fonda is dazzling as Bree. We see all sides of her, utterly confident during calls, vulnerable with her therapist, and eventually the PI Donald Sutherland, and completely terrified when dealing with the stalker. This is such a great vehicle for a Best Actress winner. There are so many individual moments where one scene would be enough to win, and then there are more of them. Honestly, it reminded me of a giallo at times, especially the scene where Donald Sutherland is chasing the stalker throughout the building. Just overall, a really good movie. Alright, ratings time. For acting, I'll give her a 10, and movie rating a 9. For deservedness, the two noteworthy ones to me are Glenda Jackson again in Sunday Bloody Sunday, and Julie Christie in McCabe and Mrs. Miller. In the not nominated category, there's Elaine May in A New Leaf, which is just a really great and funny movie. Side note, as I was getting clips for this video, I just stopped what I was doing and rewatched A New Leaf because I remembered how good it was. And after rewatching, I'd like to put a plea out into the universe for more screwball comedies to be made. I need them in my life, and the world will be better with them. But even with these performances, I think Jane was amazing in Clute, so I'll give her a 9. Our 45th winner is the daughter of one of my favorite actresses, Liza Minnelli. She won for her role as Sally Bowles in Cabaret. Cabaret follows Sally Bowles and her new friend Brian as they navigate the changing political landscape of Berlin in the 1930s. Sally has big aspirations of becoming a famous actress, and for now she performs cabaret at the Kit Kat Club. At first, the Kit Kat Club seems like an escape from the outside world of Berlin, Nazis that come and get kicked out and beaten up, and there's an air of excitement and acceptance that isn't apparent anywhere else. But as the film goes on, a lot of the scenes in the club mirror the hardship that Sally and Brian face outside, almost mockingly. This movie slaps, the music is great, and the direction from Bob Fosse, especially with the musical numbers, is just incredible. And along with giving amazing performances at the club, looking at you, Meine, Liza has a number of emotional moments that show great range. Alright, ratings time. For acting, I'll give her a 7, and movie rating also a 7. For deservedness, it's worth noting that this was the first time that two black actresses were nominated for Best Actress in the same year, Diana Ross for Lady Sings the Blues and Cicely Tyson for Sounder. The next time two black actresses got nominated at the same time doesn't happen until 2020, when Viola Davis and Andra Day were nominated. And both times this happened, one of the women were nominated for playing Billie Holiday. I don't always watch other nominees when I watch the winner, but I felt like I had to at least watch Sounder and Lady Sings the Blues, and I'm really glad I did, as both films have incredible performances by their lead actresses. Cicely Tyson is great in Sounder, she could have won for the homecoming scene alone, but Diana Ross in Lady Sings the Blues just blew me away. I think the film itself is a bit long and the pacing isn't great, but Diana is just otherworldly in her portrayal of Billie Holiday. I went into this year already having seen Cabaret and just assuming that Liza was great and that her win was deserved, and while I do think she's great in Cabaret, I would have given the win to Diana Ross easily instead. For these reasons, I'll give her a 3. Our 46th winner is another two-timer, Glenda Jackson. She won for her role as Vicky in A Touch of Class. This film follows Steve Blackburn, a married businessman, after he meets and starts an affair with Vicky. Hilarity ensues when their attempts at cheating are often interrupted by someone Steve knows, or Steve having to leave social events just to see Vicky, before quickly rushing back so that his wife doesn't suspect anything. This movie was super fun, just a classic rom-com, and pretty different from Glenda's last Best Actress win, so it was cool to see her range like this. After watching Women in Love, I didn't really get the Glenda Jackson hype, but after this, I definitely do now. Even though Vicky is the other woman and she knows this, you can't help but like her because of how Glenda plays her. She's witty and sarcastic, but still vulnerable with Steve. All in all, just a fun performance in a fun movie. Alright, ratings time. For acting, I'll give her a 7, and movie rating a 6. For deservedness, the only other notable nomination to me is Ellen Burstyn in The Exorcist, which, do I even need to say anything about? She's great in it. In the not nominated category, there's Sissy Spacek in Badlands, which is a really good movie, and a captivating performance by Sissy. I would highly recommend this movie if you haven't seen it. For these reasons, I'll give her a 5. Our 47th winner was nominated the previous year, Ellen Burstyn. She won for her role as Alice in Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. The film follows Alice, a woman in an unhappy marriage with her son Tommy. After her husband dies in a car crash, Alice and Tommy are left destitute and decide to travel from New Mexico to Arizona with hopes of making it to Alice's hometown, Monterey. Alice gets a job as a singer, her dream job, but after getting together with another terrible man, she and Tommy move once more and she gets a job as a waitress. I absolutely love this movie. It's only the 4th Scorsese that I've seen, but it's definitely one of the best. The way Alice interacts with her son is so natural, it's like she's not even acting, like she really is just annoyed by her smart-ass son all the time. But they have moments of sweetness too that make the mother-son relationship that much stronger. Alice's struggle with men is hard to watch, but not seen as a failure of her character by the audience. Even when she makes decisions I don't agree with, I still wanted to see the best for her and her son. Along with Burstyn, the whole cast is just giving it their all. Harvey Keitel is absolutely terrifying as Ben, Diane Ladd is hilarious as Flo, and Valerie Curtin is just so pathetic as Vera that I was longing for more scenes of her struggling to waitress. The friendship that formed between the three waitresses was one of my favorite parts of the film, and Burstyn's part in it was incredible. Alright, ratings time. For acting, I'll give her a 9, and movie rating, also a 9. For deservedness, this year was kind of stacked for nominees. There's Diane Carroll in Claudine, Faye Dunaway in Chinatown, and Jenna Rollins in A Woman Under the Influence. Obviously, the last two are iconic performances, but I just want to give a special shout out to Diane Carroll, who is just amazing in Claudine. If you haven't seen it, I would highly recommend. But I do think Burstyn was just show-stopping in this, so I'll give her an 8. Our 48th winner is a first-time nominee, Louise Fletcher. She won for her role as Nurse Ratched in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. The film follows the patients at a mental hospital after Randall McMurphy, a criminal who pleaded insanity, joins them. He rouses up his fellow patients, including Danny DeVito, Brad Dourif, and Christopher Lloyd, to rebel against the strict nurse in charge, Nurse Ratched. This movie is amazing. I've seen it before several times, and I was very excited to watch it again. The entire cast is incredible. Jack Nicholson, Brad Dourif, and Louise Fletcher particularly melt into their characters. Some of you out there may have seen the Netflix series Ratched starring Sarah Paulson, and yes, that is based on this Nurse Ratched from the movie, although personally I don't see any similarities besides them having the same name. Fun fact, this is the second movie since It Happened One Night to win the Big Five: Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Director, and Best Screenplay. And I think it is very deserving of these wins. Nurse Ratched is cold and calculating, always doing what she thinks is best for the patients, and it is scary to watch sometimes. When Louise Fletcher won her Oscar, the first thing she said in her speech was,
"Well, it looks like you all hated me so much."
And that is the mark of playing a great character, if the audience can hate her so much but still recognize that it's an incredible performance. Alright, ratings time. For acting, I'll give her an 8, and movie rating a 9. For deservedness, all her fellow nominees minus Glenda Jackson were also first-timers. 1975 is kind of a blind spot year for me. I've only seen a handful of films from this year, so while there might be notable actresses in the not-nominated category, I can't really comment. For these reasons, I'll give her a 10. Our 49th winner is a previous nominee, Faye Dunaway. She won for her role as Diana in Network. Network begins with a normal night of broadcasting at the fictional news network, UBS. At the end of the broadcast, news anchor Howard Beale announces that he will be committing suicide on live TV next week to avoid being fired. Initially, this gets him fired immediately, but some upper execs notice that Howard's announcement has boosted the show's ratings in ways they haven't seen in years. Soon, Diana Christensen, head of programming, is in charge of making a new show, The Howard Beale Show, where every night, Howard rants to the American public about the injustices of life. Watching this film today, it feels a bit heavy-handed in its messaging sometimes, but man is it good. Obviously Howard Beale is a standout role, but the supporting cast around him holds their own against such a boisterous role incredibly well, and it's impressive to watch. It gets hard to watch at some points, the way Diana and the rest of the execs manipulate Howard's declining mental state in order to make more money. I think Faye's best moment as Diana is when she's giving a speech to the shareholders.
Last year we were the number 4 network. Next year we're number 1!
Overall, I think this was a great time to watch because I've been in the middle of binging Succession and they kind of go hand in hand. Alright, ratings time. For acting, I'll give her an 8 and movie rating a 9. For deservedness, we have Sissy Spacek for Carrie, which yeah, of course. Along with her is Talia Shire for Rocky as well, so for these reasons, I'll give her an 8. Wow, we made it to 50 winners! Our 50th winner is Diane Keaton. She won for her titular role in Annie Hall. This film follows the life of Alvy Singer, a comedian reminiscing and trying to get over his relationship with Annie Hall. I was not super looking forward to watching this film, as it meant I would lose my 25-year streak of having never seen a Woody Allen film, but I can't deny it's really good. Very easy to see influential moments in the filmmaking, the writing, and the acting. While I think Woody Allen as Alvy is completely insufferable, which is kind of the point, I love Diane as Annie. She is the complete opposite of Alvy, free-spirited and chill, and overall she just radiates coolness. I truly cannot state how much it hurts me that I really enjoyed this movie, but Diane Keaton is a big reason for it. Alright, ratings time. For acting, I'll give her an 8, and movie rating also an 8. For deservedness, we have several previous nominees this year, including Jane Fonda, Shirley MacLaine, and Anne Bancroft, but overall, I think Diane was amazing, and this film came out at the perfect time for her to win, so I'll give her a 10. Our 51st winner is another two-timer, Jane Fonda. She won for her role as Sally in Coming Home. Coming Home follows Sally Hyde after her husband, played by Bruce Dern, goes off to fight in the Vietnam War. While he's gone, Sally starts to lose her sense of purpose and starts volunteering at a veterans hospital helping paralyzed Vietnam War vets. One of these vets is Luke, played by Jon Voight. someone that Sally knew in high school. They quickly reconnect and become fast friends and eventually lovers. Now, I love Jane Fonda. She's probably going to be my most watched actor of the year, but man, this movie was not for me. I'm not a big fan of war movies, and while this is definitely not that, it's very war movie adjacent, and the slow drama of it all was just not appealing to me. I think Voight and Fonda have good enough chemistry, but I was just never fully invested in their relationship. Even when Burstyn comes back from the war and the two of them are in danger of being found out, I wasn't really concerned for them. At this time in history, Jane Fonda was not very well liked by the American public, mainly for her disparaging comments against the Vietnam War, as well as photographs of her being taken while sitting in a North Vietnamese anti-aircraft gun. So, knowing this information, coming home really feels like an apology to audiences for these comments and actions. While the film is definitely not pro-Vietnam War, it is very sympathetic towards veterans, and compared to her last win for Clute, her performance feels very authentic and genuine. Not that her performance in Clute was bad, it was just a different type of movie. Kinda went on a tangent there, but this history is important for her win. Alright, ratings time. For acting, I'll give her a 6 and movie rating of 5. For deservedness, I think it is absolutely absurd that Jane Fonda won the Oscar over fellow nominee Ingrid Bergman for Autumn Sonata. Like, are you kidding? Over Autumn Sonata? Autumn Sonata? For these reasons, I'll give her a 2. Our 52nd winner is my favorite part of 2023's best film, 80 for Brady, Sally Field. She won for her titular role in Norma Ray. This film follows Norma Ray Webster, a woman working in a cotton mill with her family. The mill is the main source of income for her small southern town, and the higher-ups know this and use this to exploit their workers, making them work in deafening conditions and prioritizing profits over their well-beings. In comes Ruben Wachowski, a union organizer from New York City, and a man determined to give the workers of the mill fair working conditions. Slowly, he gains Norma's trust and recruits her to the cause. While I thought the film was a bit Oscar-baity, having Sally declaim for the role and having Norma overcome great adversity with only the help of Ruben, I still really enjoyed it. I've only seen Sally Field's later work, so this is my first foray into her prime years, and I loved it. Made me even more excited to watch her second win in 1984 for Places in the Heart. Alright, ratings time. For acting, I'll give her a 9, and movie rating an 8. For deservedness, Jane Fonda was once again nominated, this time for The China Syndrome. In the not nominated category, I just want to shout out Sigourney Weaver in Alien. If she can get a nom for the sequel, why not the original? For these reasons, I'll give her an 8. Our 53rd winner gets us into the 80s, Sissy Spacek. She won for her role as Loretta Lynn in Coal Miner's Daughter. This film follows the rise to stardom of country superstar Loretta Lynn. This is, quite possibly, the blueprint for Oscar bait music biopic films. And I don't mean that in a bad way, Sissy Spacek is amazing in this movie. I have my own thoughts on music biopics, I think we are a bit overrun with them right now, but one thing I do love is when the lead actor in one sings live. You wanna know why Rocket Man is so good? Among many reasons, it's because Taron Egerton sings, and that's awesome. And Sissy Spacek started it all, and her voice is incredible. I am but a girl from New England, so I knew absolutely nothing about Loretta Lynn before watching this, and while it does follow a lot of the classic music biopic plot points, I found her story to be more interesting beyond that. Her relationship with Doolittle is complex, and Spacek and Tommy Lee Jones portray it very well. And even as someone who doesn't really listen to country music, I was very entertained by the film, and it made me want to listen to some of Loretta's music after it ended, which is probably what the filmmakers wanted, so they succeeded. Alright, ratings time. For acting, I'll give her a 7, and movie rating a 6. For deservedness, we have former winner Ellen Burstyn, Goldie Hawn in Private Benjamin, Mary Tyler Moore in Ordinary People, and Jenna Rollins in Gloria, which are all acclaimed performances. I've seen the latter two, and even with Mary Tyler Moore's limited screen time in Ordinary People, I think her or Jenna Rollins were very tough competition for this category. In the not nominated category, we have the leading ladies in 9 to 5, which, personally, I think should have gotten the first 3-person Oscar. With these in mind, I really don't get why they chose Sissy Spacek to win out of these options. I feel like I always think that whenever a biopic wins, and this year is no different. Even the Best Actor winner this year, Robert De Niro, also won for a biopic. For these reasons, I'll give her a 5. Here are the overall scores and rankings, and next time we'll look at Katharine Hepburn in On Golden Pond.